episode 341 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harmon, joined live in the Vault Studio, the beautiful campus of Grace College and Grace Theological Seminary, by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, and the man who has a tea time this afternoon.
That got canceled.
What?
Yeah, it did. Sorry.
John Scott Sloat.
Yeah, my tea time. I canceled it. I had somebody book a meeting. So.
It's a tough break.
It is. It's a beautiful day.
I mean, this was going to be the round where you broke 80, right?
Yeah. Yep. On 9 holes. Yep.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So we're recording on a Friday afternoon because I will be out of town next week.
I'm out of town too.
Remind me where you're going.
Colorado.
Oh, that's right.
Where are you going?
North Carolina.
Nice.
Both of us heading to the mountains then.
Yeah. Yep. I'm heading to, I think, the far side. So I'm headed to like western Colorado.
Okay. Like Durango? Like where? Like somewhere out there.
Yeah, there's a ski resort we're near called Telluride.
Telluride. Yeah.
If you've ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
That area of Colorado.
Gotcha. All right. Very good.
I went there last year too. It was a nice visit. Small town, like clearly built on ski resort money.
Oh yeah.
Like nice place to visit, but a little bare in the summer.
In the summer, yeah, I would think it would be a little empty, but interesting. All right. So, why? I mean, you need to. Do you have any interest in going skiing there?
No, I don't do skiing.
You don't do skiing?
No, I've never skied.
Okay, I've done it once.
You haven't done it again?
No interest.
But your wife she grew up, right? Skiing?
She grew up skiing. That's right. Yeah, her family big skiers. We went with them once since we've been married in 30 years. And I went, and I mean, here's the thing. I could tell just from like even a few brief runs down the slopes, like this is going to destroy my knees. And my knees are already bad.
Yeah.
I don't need an expensive habit to destroy my knees.
Right.
I can find cheaper ways
running
to destroy my knees. Play basketball.
Totally.
Pickleball, whatever. Like those are all basically free ways to destroy my knees.
Either way, Warsaw Indian is very happy that you're destroying knees.
Yeah. I don't know how close I am to that knee replacement yet, but I'm in the right place for it.
Do you have it picked out? Do you have the company you want?
I don't. I think I'm far enough away that I can wait for technology to continue to develop, and so. Well, if you would like to contact the show and tell us what your preferred replacement knee is, you can find us on X at VNSPod. You can email the show, variousandsundrypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform you access the show. All right, John, let's talk a little sports. We'll be a little out of date by the time this drops, since this will drop on Tuesday, and here we are on Friday. But
right in the middle of the All-Star break.
Okay. Since our last episode, the U.S. lost in the World Cup.
Did not have a very good game.
They played very poorly and looked outclassed, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even – I mean, they made several mistakes that ballooned that score to 4-1.
Yeah.
But I think you could tell pretty early on there was just a different level of skill. I'm no soccer expert, but like there was just a different level of skill by the Belgians compared to the Americans.
Yeah, the Americans' passing didn't look crisp. I mean, there were some of those things that were within the United States' control that did not look good.
Yep.
And part of you wonders if they began to, start to, get into their own hype and allow that to impact their gameplay. But Pulisic did not look good. I mean, a number of their passing from the get-go didn't look crisp.
Yeah.
And led to a defense. I think one of the big differences is, in every other game they played, they were aggressive early and ended up on the attacking side much earlier.
And got an advantage early.
Yeah. This time they were on the defensive early.
Yep.
And I think that threw them off their game plan and a little bit of their mojo. And I just don't think they were ever able to recapture it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. I still think, though, that what's been fascinating to me is to see some of the discussion on social media about, why can't the U.S. be the best in the world at soccer, which, is a very American sort of thing. Like, we should be the best at everything, right? I mean, that's sort of part of the American mindset of we believe we should be the best at pretty much everything.
I think we spend, on average, the same as European countries on soccer for our national teams, men and women. And I think for us to do that, because I think we just have a natural deficiency, because I think we have so many other sports that people play.
Yes.
That, how to phrase this properly, that I think we got to spend maybe double what European countries spend on soccer in order to just get level.
Yeah. I mean, there does seem to be, from what I understand, there's just a different system in the European world in terms of these academies and clubs where talent is identified early, and rather than the parents of the kid shelling out, thousands upon thousands of dollars for travel soccer and that kind of thing, these European academies basically evaluate and take kids based on talent and then develop them, and they get some sort of money back from the professional clubs that these kids end up signing with. Yeah. So there's incentive on their part to train them and get them equipped. And so, when that kid eventually goes on to be, goes on to sign with Manchester United or something like that, part of their contract gets, sent back to those soccer clubs that develop them.
Yeah, and there's a winnowing that takes place during all that time too. Mm-hmm. So I know a guy actually here locally who was in one of the English clubs and was supposed to be the last man on a U19 or something for one of the big clubs, and got cut at the last minute. And so he ended up here in the States playing at various colleges and things like that, and ended up building a life here in Warsaw.
Yep. Yeah. It's just a different system. I will say I think it's laughable to see some of the discussion around, if you just, if Russell Westbrook had 6 months to train or a year to train, he'd be the best soccer player in the world. Or if LeBron James just trained.
No, there's some of the micro movements you learn as a kid that they're just not going to have.
Well, and it's not just – this is part of the issue is Americans look at the sports that we prefer, and that basically is American football and basketball.
Yep.
And you look at what does it require to succeed in those sports. Almost every player in those leagues is a very good athlete to elite athlete. Mm-hmm. Someone that you look at and you would, in most cases, walk past them on the street and go, I bet that guy's an athlete.
Yeah.
These soccer players are not. Mm-hmm. Like, you could walk by Messi on the street, and if you didn't recognize him by his face, you wouldn't necessarily look at him and go, that's probably the best soccer player in the world.
Right.
Because he's what, like 5'8"?
Yeah. Yeah. You'd be
and he's not jacked or anything.
You look like a mediocre accountant,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he's not a good athlete. He's a very good athlete.
He's great. He's incredible. His feet are insane. But
the issue, I think, tends to be Americans underappreciate the technical skill necessary to be elite in soccer, and we're just not developing guys with that sort of level of technical skill. And so I don't know what the answer is, other than to send are we really talking about sending 12-year-olds over to England for their soccer clubs and bringing them back?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I mean, so many of the stars on the American team have
have some sort of European experience or international experience.
Right. I mean,
Almost all of them do it.
Center mid grew up on military bases around the globe, and so was a part of some of these academies.
Yeah.
I think Pulisic, whatever.
I think
they talk about him from Hershey, but I think he spent from 17, maybe 16 forward in Europe. A handful of these other guys were born in the United States and grew up overseas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. So later today, as we record, we have Spain and Belgium. So Spain playing the Belgian team that beat the United States.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the France-Morocco match yesterday?
I did not know.
France just looks dominant. Like every time I've seen them, I'm like, they just seem like they're fully in control. And
they were runner-up in 2006, I believe, for the World Cup. They lost to Italy in the championship game.
Okay.
But I don't think they've been back since.
Maybe. Yeah, that's certainly possible. So by the time this episode drops, we will be to the semifinals. And if I had to guess, I think it'll probably be France versus Spain. I think Spain will probably beat Belgium. And probably, I don't know.
Who's on the other side?
Argentina plays Switzerland to get to the semis, which I think Argentina wins.
Argentina wins that game, yeah.
Though they were down 2-0 to Egypt at the 78-minute mark and then suddenly flipped the switch and beat 3-2. That was crazy. And then Norway and England, the winner of that, would play.
England has not looked good, but they just keep surviving.
Yeah. And then Norway has sort of the breakout star of the World Cup, this Hovland, or however we say his name. The one, the 6'4", blonde Viking-looking dude.
Yeah. He's been all over social media.
Yeah. So, anyway, by the time we get back, by the time this episode drops, we'll be to the semifinals, and then maybe by the next time we record, the whole thing will be over.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. How are your Mets doing? They're still bad?
I think they've won 3 in a row now.
Whoa,
I mean,
careful.
Yeah.
Careful.
But they almost certainly will be sellers at the deadline here shortly. So,
okay. So one more week here until the All-Star, or was this the All-Star break coming up?
This is the All-Star break coming up.
Okay.
So I believe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and games pick up back up on Thursday.
All right.
They call it All-Star. Well, the All-Star break. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
All right. Any Mets playing in the
Juan
All-Star?
Soto. So every team has to have a representative.
Right.
So Juan Soto is in there.
I hear he's a bit of a there's some issues with him in the clubhouse, or there's conflict with him and others in the clubhouse.
Yeah, there's been that narrative that's out there. How much to read into it, how much not to read into it, I don't know. But something is going on there. Something is going on. And you're paying the guy $800 million, whatever. You figure it out, you know?
That's just monopoly money.
Well,
it just seems like
it's your $800 million player having beef with a $400 million player.
Right.
Neither of them are going anywhere.
Yeah.
Get together and work it out.
Yeah, I mean that's a basically untradeable salary.
Yeah.
Man.
Except to maybe the Yankees, which you're not going to do.
Yeah.
You're not sending the Yankees those players or the Dodgers.
Right. Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else in the world of sports going on?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, Wimbledon is going on. I haven't been paying attention, but
I caught 5 minutes of a match the other day. That's been about it. How long does Wimbledon go on? Is it?
It ends. It'll be over by the time this episode drops.
Okay.
It ends this weekend.
But it's like a couple of weeks.
It's 2
right?
weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
It's a fortnight.
Okay. Interesting.
Talk about a term that we just don't use.
No, we don't.
A fortnight.
Yeah. Well, anytime I hear fortnight, I often think of a I think of oh my goodness, what's the speech? 7 years ago.
We also don't use the term score either.
No. But it's anyway.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our main topic for the day. We are starting a brand spanking new series.
Yeah.
We are talking about the church fathers.
Yeah.
All right, and as our since you are our resident church historian, tell us about. Well, first of all, I think we should start with who these folks are, and then we'll go from there. How's that? So when we talk about the church fathers, who do we have in mind? Yeah,
so really when I think of church fathers, I think it's a little bit of a nebulous definition. Like, where does that line exist?
Yep.
Is there a year? Is there a time period that you sort of put a line in the sand as these are the church fathers? For me, I think it's the fall of the Western Roman Empire. This kind of the kicking off the Middle Ages, 500. So really anybody prior to that writes significantly about the Christian faith, defends the Christian faith, engages with the culture around them about the Christian faith, pushes back on paganism, does some pastoral. Any of those guys in that time period are really the church fathers. So I would say that group. I would say we do not include the apostles generally in the church fathers. Mm-hmm. It's kind of post-apostles, pre-Middle Ages.
Okay.
So people that are living, breathing, writing, preaching, corresponding. A number of these things that we have are letters from these guys. All of that would be church fathers. And then I think there's some heavy hitters in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay. So we'll circle back more specifically to some of the key church fathers, but let's start with your own interest in the church fathers. How did that kind of get going?
I can't remember if I've told this on pod before, but you want to know what? This is content. I did not enjoy my church history class when I was a student at Grace.
Okay.
A ton. I didn't enjoy it a ton. I did enjoy it. I learned things.
But I'm trying to remember. Obviously, you're not going to name.
You want me to name the guy? Yeah. I won't do that.
After pod.
Yeah.
After pod.
It was a fine course. I'm not sure it ignited within me a joy to teach it. It was kind of when I started working in the seminary, it was like hey, you want to teach this course? I said sure, and then I spent like the next 5-6 months just sort of reading and trying to get it up to par where I could begin to teach. And as I began teaching it, I think I fell in love a little bit more with it. Part of it was church history church history and Greek are very similar in that when you start teaching people, they know nothing about it.
I think people probably might know a little bit more about church fathers than they do about Greek typically when you start, but yes.
Typically, although I would say I think it's a little closer than we might imagine. So when people start Greek, well, I know the Bible's written in Greek, or the New Testament at least. There's Alpha, Beta, Omega, right? I know a couple of the letters. And church history is kind of similar, like, okay, I know Jesus died and rose again. I know the Reformation happened.
Okay.
Right? And then I know there was some revivals in the United States in the 1700s.
That might be pushing it, but yes.
Right? And
yeah.
What else is Henry VIII had 8 wives, and it had to do with religion.
Yes.
6 wives, excuse me.
Yeah, it's
right.
There's a
what else would people know? And I think that's similar to
depends on the church tradition, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think that's probably about right.
So that's sort of been my. These are kind of similar. Nobody knows anything, and so that ignited like a. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget. So I was doing a church history course at our church, and there was somebody in the room who taught Bible at a local Christian school here. And I remember talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Yep.
I remember talking about Nicaea, and then I went, and unfortunately, after the Council of Nicaea, Jesus' divinity was not in stone going forward, right? Following this guy went, "Are you serious? That this wasn't settled after this? That the Arians had something of a resurrection and continued and nearly won the day?" Yeah, they did. Until like 50 years later, But anyway, so I enjoy the sort of most people know nothing about it and being able to reveal some of those things to them.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, all of that to answer your question, I think that's where the joy for church history comes from, and church fathers particularly.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I had in my seminary education at Trinity, I had John Woodbridge.
Oh, yeah.
Church history.
Yeah, I have one of his books. Yeah.
He's a legend. And I think to be a really good church history professor or teacher, you need to know how to tell stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is all about stories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you need to organize those stories into a coherent sort of flow and narrative that tells the larger arc of things. And
Yep.
But that's what grabs people's attention. If you are able to tell a compelling story about Origen or Augustine or Athanasius or whoever it might be, that it's more than just here's dates, here's events. It's telling the stories that I think makes those things come alive. And I also had – so that was my broad history of Christianity class that I had as part of my seminary degree. I also took a church history elective with John Hanna, who taught – I think he's still teaching – taught at Dallas for many, many years. And he was also a phenomenal storyteller. And it was a class on the Church Fathers. And he was just – I mean, he would just keep you spellbound with these stories about these individuals. And so I really think that tends to be what is compelling to people is the storytelling component.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think a little bit about what do you see as the primary benefits of studying the Church Fathers?
I mean, I think there's the thing that comes most clearly to mind is there's a sense of groundedness, right, that comes with it, that we are not doing theology in just the here and now.
Yep.
Right? We're doing it in concert with people that have been doing theology for a couple thousand years, going back, originally starting with these guys, right? I guess originally starting with the apostles, but then secondarily leading to these guys. So I think there's a sense of groundedness. There can be some good parameters that they set up, against some what have turned out to be sort of evergreen heresies that come up throughout the ages, right?
Yep.
Right. We could still point to some Gnosticism that's out there today, and could do some of those sorts of things,
and some Arianism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of Arianism.
Lots of Arianism, and how they dealt with them, how they're engaging with them, the arguments that they're making, what worked, what didn't work, and engaging with them in that way. So I think those are two things. So the groundedness and sort of the guardrails that help us identify and how to engage with and talk to various against and for various things.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that this is true of church history in general, so it applies to the church fathers, is that it just gives you even if the issues are basically the same, it gives you fresh insight into realities that you might be dealing with today. I also think when done well, it can enhance our sense of as believers that we are part of something that extends beyond the last, 50 years or 100 years or even 500 years. That we are part of a body of believers that stretches back to the New Testament period and includes these key figures who, when you think about it, were in such a strategic and difficult point in time because they are wrestling through some of the things that we take for granted right now.
Right.
And depending on how early you go, not even having perhaps all of the canonical scripture as they're initially kind of thinking through some of these things, like just wrestling with those realities and them trying to think through, based on what the apostles taught, who is Jesus, what is the significance of what he's done, and how should we live as followers of Jesus? And how does that even relate to, the Old Testament people of God and what God had done then?
Well, to think of somebody like Athanasius, right, who you could go pick up the patristic paperbacks, his great work on the Incarnation. He has, 200 pages on the Incarnation.
Yeah.
And how great it is and how glorious it is, and sort of forms the foundation for what we think of the Incarnation today. He's doing that because he's pushing back against Arianism.
Yeah.
And being able to develop some of those thoughts. And he gets exiled from the Roman Empire like 3 times during this process. He also held back like grain shipments to certain areas of the empire. So, I mean, like he's not a flawless human in all of this, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just thinking about how that work today, sitting on my shelf at home, has impacted how the church has thought about incarnation for a couple thousand years.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I also think that even when they're addressing similar issues that we deal with today, they're doing so from a different framework. I mean, obviously, at one level, they share our Christian worldview, but they lived in a very different culture. We today living in a sort of modern / postmodernism kind of amalgamation of worldviews that we sort of swim in our culture. Very different in some ways from the first, 3 or 4 centuries of the church's history, which can actually, I think, help us see things or consider truths from different angles that we today probably would never have thought of or like approached because we don't. We're coming from a different sort of starting point.
So another thing that has, I think popped up in our individualistic culture has been sort of the me and my Bible against the world sort of philosophy. And I think reading the Church Fathers helps us see, right, there have been people reading the passage that we're reading or wrestling with the doctrine we're wrestling with for a couple thousand years. Like we're not coming at this brand new, and there's a wealth of information and helps in the Church Fathers for that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk maybe about are there any dangers in studying the Church Fathers? Like any cautions that you might say, like, well, this is a good thing, but you want to keep an eye out for this, or you want to consider that kind of thing.
So I'll point out the obvious, but like the Catholic caution I have is like don't elevate these guys to the point of sainthood.
Yeah.
Right. And then realize that they're fallen human beings that make a whole lot of mistakes along the way, right? I mean, I already mentioned Athanasius not sending grain supplies to it. Starving people, bad idea. I agree.
I'm opposed to that.
Just a bad idea. I mean, there's also some is it Tertullian that gets some of his stuff taken out of context and is used as sort of the foundation of Arianism. There's a handful of those sorts as well where we have to read them carefully and see how they're used historically. And I mean, if you read Eusebius's church history, he sees. I often say he's geared toward pious exaggeration, right? He's just like, oh, you said this happened. That feels unlikely.
Yeah.
That feels very unlikely.
Yep.
So, just a couple of those cautions. I think reading, not with a skeptical eye, but an eye to understand, like, these are people who had agendas and wanted to see certain things done a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's true. Any that you think through from
Well, part of the question, I think, stems from, and although we are not in the Southern Baptist world, we are adjacent in some ways, and we keep a little bit of an eye on what's going on in our neighbors' backyard, and there's been a good bit of discussion within Baptist circles about the whole area of what's called retrieval, like reading church fathers and key figures, and to what degree can and should we go back and embrace and extend what these thinkers thought and believed, and for some of our listeners, this is something that maybe they've never even heard of or thought of.
Little inside baseball, yeah.
But it kind of came to a flashpoint. What was this, a year ago, when Matthew Barrett, a systematic theology prof
I do remember this.
Midwestern, left that school to become Anglican.
Yeah.
And he had already been under criticism from some in the Southern Baptist world for his focus on theological retrieval, in particular with Thomas Aquinas. So not a church father. He'd be in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, some had raised concerns about him, and then, of course, he departs from the Southern Baptists, and to be honest, didn't go quietly. He not only burned some bridges on his way out,
he left
but
pretty aggressively, huh?
But more or less took them down brick by brick on his way out. So
yikes.
Not a good look. In any case, so that's made some people suspicious, I think, of that. But I think as long as you have the right expectations and a correct view of the authority of Scripture as the final authority, and any other sort of human voice, human interpreter as a potentially helpful or potentially unhelpful secondary voice of insight, but not authority, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But, I think that the difficulty is you've got people sometimes who just read the church fathers uncritically, and then they just say, "Oh gosh, we've gotten this wrong all along." Like, well, maybe, or maybe that church father is wrong about that particular point of theology or interpretation or something like that. I think, in my mind, the biggest tension point. And I didn't prep you for this discussion.
Oh, boy, yeah. Tell me the biggest tension point. Let me riff.
Is people have, I think, pointed out that, and really this is someone like I don't want to throw a name out there. I don't want to throw a name. That some have said, look, you can't go to the church fathers and cherry pick their conclusions, but disregard their theological and interpretive methods that they used to get there. To me, that's the biggest sort of tension point in going back to the church fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it opens up the whole discussion of, is it possible to get the right conclusions using the wrong methods? And considered generally, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just true in terms of theology and exegesis. That can be true in other contexts as well.
Across life, yeah.
You can reach the correct answer, but use a flawed method to get there.
Absolutely.
And that flawed method, if applied to other circumstances or other situations,
will not produce
the right answer.
Correct. Yep.
It's the old, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. But to me, that seems to be the biggest tension point in studying the church fathers these days, is that people are pointing out, well, wait a minute. They seem to be using a slightly different hermeneutic than we do today. And how do we put that together? Like, what do we do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that we should embrace their hermeneutic? Or does it mean that somehow they reached proper conclusions at points by using a flawed hermeneutic? Would you care to weigh in on that?
I think I know who you're talking about. I think I'm in a broad agreement with you that you can reach that the church fathers could reach good conclusions while having flawed interpretive methods. Right? There's
as can modern interpreters.
Exactly.
Let's just be clear.
100%.
Plenty of modern interpreters can do that too.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think that has to do with the clarity of Scripture in a lot of ways, right? Scripture is clear enough that when you read it through a number of different lenses, the same conclusion comes to the surface, even if those lenses are wrong.
Yeah.
However, I think it's worthy of a conversation that we're having in the academy right now.
Yeah, and I think
it's a big conversation right now.
Well, it's a big, it's absolutely a big conversation in the realm of hermeneutics in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's only just starting to reach the sort of popular level, lay level. I don't think it's quite there yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
There's enough academic work that's being done that is being talked about in seminaries and other places, or being published, that is going to start, and has already at some level started to influence, how pastors interpret the Scriptures and teach them in their churches, and that, of course, inevitably has a sort of trickle-down effect in terms of everyday, ordinary Christians.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's the discussion that's still working itself out in the academy, and eventually starting to work its way to the local church.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what that looks like over the next 5 years. I think that's the potential to become a pretty significant kind of flashpoint within more thoughtful evangelicalism, in particular reformed versions of evangelicalism. So we'll see. Anything else by way of introduction?
We'll be zeroing in on a couple of church fathers over the next couple of weeks. So we'll take them individuals at a time, give a little bit of a history, a little bit of the theology, a little bit of their writing, and try to tell that story a little bit. How's
there you
that?
Go. Yeah.
So I am using a helpful book. Have you ever seen this book?
Yes.
Getting to Know the Church Fathers, an Evangelical Introduction by Brian Litvin.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a great book on After Acts.
Yep.
That was really, really good. This is also very helpful, sort of
Yeah.
profiling a number of
After
individuals.
Acts looks a little bit more kind of popular level than that, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit smaller.
Bit smaller, yeah. But
this is still accessible, still
Yeah.
readable. I think it plays to a popular audience. A little thicker, a little bit.
Yep.
But
And next week,
yeah, who are we talking about next week?
Origin.
I got him on the list here. Yeah.
That dude is fascinating.
Well, we'll talk about him in pod time in a week, in real time in 10 days.
Something like that. All right, John, time now for This Day in Sports History.
All right, this day in sports history, July 14th, 2026.
Wild.
We're barreling toward a new school year here. Barreling toward it.
Barreling toward it, yes.
1916, the St. Louis Brown, Ernie Koob, pitches all 17 innings, allowing 14 hits. However, it ends in a 0-0 tie versus the Boston Red Sox at Fenway.
Yeah, what is this, soccer?
Yeah.
What are we doing with tying here?
Yeah, is that the last tie that happened in Major League Baseball?
I don't know when they stopped that rule, but we finally figured out, well, this isn't American.
Yeah.
We have to know who won.
Well, it took,
We still have that, I guess, technically in NFL football in the
technically, yeah.
in the regular
It
season.
happens every now and then.
Yeah, it's rare.
Even hockey, they've gotten away from the tie. They now have a shootout.
Well, I mean, college football, they had the tie up through early 90s. And they finally decided to go with some sort of overtime rule. So
1949, Czech tennis star Jaroslav Drobny. How was that? Did you all right there?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Vladimir Sernik
Sounds right.
defect. Okay, I was like, is that spelled wrong? Defect while playing in tournament in Gstaad, Switzerland. Is that? How do you pronounce that town? Gstaad?
Gstaad.
Or is that silent G?
I don't think it's a silent G. It's Gstaad. Gstaad.
They accept Egyptian citizenship.
Yeah, interesting. Egyptian.
Yeah, odd.
Yeah.
I assume that's fleeing communism and things like that from
Yes. Yep.
Czechoslovakia
Yeah.
at the time. I believe Czechoslovakia was formed in 1949. Anyway, 1968, Hank Aaron hits his 500th home run off San Francisco Giant Mike McCormick.
Hammer and Hank.
1972, plate umpire and catcher in a game are brothers. That's fascinating. Bill Haller is the umpire, and Tom Haller is the Detroit Tigers catcher. Kansas City Royals win 1-0.
So apparently the catcher
It did not help his brother.
He did not. You would think that they would not allow that.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when the NFL officials went on strike and they had replacement referees for a series of games?
Okay.
And
this would have been like 10 years ago?
yeah, 10, 12 years ago. And there was a replacement referee that was slated, I think it was to ref the Cowboys game. Mm-hmm. And he was decked, his social media was decked out in like Redskins gear. And social media people were doing research on this guy and found this and publicized, and the NFL pulled him at the 11th hour from the game.
You have to.
You got to. 2018 Wimbledon women's tennis, Angeliki Kerber? Am I getting that right? Angeliki?
Maybe.
Becomes the first German since Steffi Graf, that one I knew, to win Wimbledon, beating Serena Williams 6-3. 6-3.
Okay.
2019 Wimbledon men's tennis, Djokovic wins longest Wimbledon final over Federer in 4 hours, 57 minutes. His 16th Grand Slam title.
Yeah, that final set, 13-12.
Dang.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, who do you like?
I mean, part of me likes Ernie Koob just for the Koob name, but honestly, there's a lot. I like a good defecting from communism.
Yeah.
And Novak. I like Novak Djokovic's longest win. That's a heck of a game.
I feel like this is our one chance to get Ernie Koob, though.
Yep, I agree. I don't think we're getting him again.
I don't think he's popping back up. Djokovic will probably pop back up.
17 innings is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And didn't give up any runs.
I gave up 14 hits, but that doesn't count for anything.
Spread out over 17 innings.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Ernie Koob it is.
Ernie Koob.
One thing you liked.
I have been enamored with a storytelling podcast about World War II narrated by Tom Hanks.
All right.
It's produced by the History Channel. It's very good.
All right.
And I am learning a ton of things I did not know about World War II. And it's a live podcast currently, so new episodes are coming out every week. It's been quite good.
Do you think that there is something inherent in our American culture among men that if as they reach a certain age, they start to get interested in World War II?
Honestly, I don't know how interested I am in World War II, but I need to know more than I currently know.
Okay. I mean, you are listening to a podcast.
I am listening to a podcast about it, but I'm basically starting at not quite zero, but close to zero.
And you're not even middle-aged yet.
According to some, I am not middle-aged yet. But I have really enjoyed I quite frankly did not know that much about the Pacific Theater. Mm-hmm. I did not know we were fighting in China with the Chinese against the Japanese. Had no clue about that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I knew Stalingrad was a thing. I didn't realize how big of a thing Stalingrad was.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Germans lost up there was incredible. My goodness, what else?
Russia's just so big, though. My goodness, to get across there and to actually try to take.
Well, and it was a Hitler's play for hubris, is how they pronounce it. I'm going to go after Stalin's city that he named after himself.
Yeah,
I want that.
Yeah.
And he was looking like he was going to win for days, weeks, and ultimately lost.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
So yeah, I think there's I think one of the things that that was interesting was the Japanese thought we were an economic people only. We weren't willing to fight. We weren't warriors, and so they thought they could punch us and we'd fall over.
Which is interesting because we had already been involved in World War I.
Yeah.
And played at least some role in helping our side to win. So, that seems like an interesting miscalculation. But it
is weird to hear stories, like they're telling stories of first of all, they met up in Tehran, right? Yeah. Right. But it was Churchill, it was Roosevelt and Stalin. Mm-hmm. Meeting in Tehran.
Yeah.
To look back on that is just super strange.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And we were feeding the Russians basically the whole time, right? We were providing all the food for them. Yeah. Just crazy. And then to learn about the Mustang. I'm sorry, I could go on. The Mustang Air Fighter that they brought over from the States, and everyone's like, it's okay. And they dropped a Rolls-Royce engine in it, and they're like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That stuff is pretty cool.
Getting invested in World War II might move you across the threshold from young man to middle age. So,
Yeah, if this is what it takes.
That might do it.
I have not read a 7-volume history of Winston Churchill. Ever.
I see. Interesting. I am going to pull a little bit of an audible here from the show notes there. And I'm going to go with a recent episode of the podcast Life, Books, and Everything.
Okay.
So that's the podcast that Kevin DeYoung hosts.
Who else is on that with him?
Justin Taylor and Colin Hanson.
So they're still all in it together.
They are.
They started that originally shortly after we started our podcast, correct?
Yeah, but they do like one episode every couple of months, 3 months kind of thing. It's a little sporadic.
They have no stick-to-itiveness.
No.
Okay.
No. But they did an episode around the idea of America 250.
Okay.
And they made a lot of good book recommendations and had some good discussions about what is it that makes America unique, what are some kind of defining characteristics of America in contrast to other parts of the world and that sort of thing. So I just found it a very interesting and engaging conversation. I think all three of those guys are sharp and enjoyable to listen to, so I would recommend that as a good listen. Now, it's a long episode. It's like an hour and a half. Now, see, that's the thing. When they do their episodes, they tend to be like an hour and 20, hour and a half. So.
Yeah. They don't have discipline.
They don't.
They don't have the discipline. What's the name of the pod again for the listeners?
Life and Books and Everything. Which just seems like another way of talking about various and sundry. But hey, what do we know?
Yeah.
And that is our one thing we liked. All right, John, we have talked about World Cup soccer. We have talked about the Church Fathers. Who are they and why we should study them? We have talked about Ernie Koob.
Koob.
We have talked about a World War II podcast with Tom Hanks. And we have talked about a recent episode of another podcast, Life, Books, and Everything. And so I think, by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.